Coming up, it's Game 5 of the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Final as the NBA champion Bulls look to put their differences aside and turn it around before the home crowd. Horace Grant and Larry Nance on the opening tip. And the Bulls control. Jordan, played by Elo, uses the screen. And the rebound comes to Nance. Jordan trying to draw the foul on Elo. There's Mark Price, who told us he is feeling 100% better than he did on Monday. Now Doherty operating down low, went to the turnaround. Handled by Nance, who comes off a very strong performance in Richfield. Price, yes. And the Cavaliers off to the 2-0 lead.
And right where Price shot that, there is a bunch of rosin on the floor in front of the Chicago bench. They need to get that wiped up before a player goes down and slips on it.
Here's Cartwright. Yes. The Bulls would like to get Cartwright involved early, and he was able to work for the excellent position. So the game is tied at 2. The outside shot the other day.
It was a key for Cleveland to get Larry Nance off early. The fact that he started out by making perimeter shots was a big, big plus. It built his confidence. He knew he was struggling. What he wanted, he got.
Man that the Bulls would like to see get back into the offense. Horace Grant able to hit on his first field goal. Grant only 2 of 7 points in 43 minutes in Game 4. Elo wide open for 3. Greg Elo hitting 4 from downtown on Monday, and the foul is called on Elo.
And there's one of those situations with Pippen grabbing the rebound, starting the fast break where he felt in the past couple games that Phil Jackson has wanted him to pull it back out. He wants to take it and create in transition. There's that slippery area on the floor with all the rosin from the players rubbing it on their hands before the start of the game. Normally, the trainers clean that up. They've forgotten to do it right now.
Well, you know, the Bulls are not going to remind anybody about it. They make things a bit slippery on the Cleveland front court.
Every advantage you can get.
Cartwright couldn't handle the pass. Paxson back, and a good play by Paxson. It's a leg block. It does give Cleveland another 24 seconds on the shot clock, but he broke up a 2-on-1. Two minutes gone by in this first quarter, and the Bulls with a 4-2 lead.
Brad Daugherty out at the top of the circle again. A little move that Lenny Wilkins and his staff made before Game 4 to try and free up the other guys down low.
Cavaliers have opened up by hitting 1 of their first 5. Pippen in the open court went 1-on-2. Forced it.
Well, there's his one-on-one opportunities in transition. Now it's a matter of whether or not he puts him down, and then things will start to open up for the rest of the team.
And Grant with the rebound. Horace Grant had a 15-rebound game on Monday. Michael Jordan. Greg Elo felt that he was shoved aside, making for the easy opportunity for Jordan. The Bulls 6, and the Cavaliers 2.
And the only player that has not had a shot so far is Paxson for the Chicago Bulls. They're trying to share the basketball, move it around, and get the team aspect back into the game.
Cartwright jumping out for the steal. Phil Jackson was concerned in our chat before the game, mentioned that he did not want to see Cleveland get out early. Here's Jordan. There is the fear by the Bulls that, not that that will dictate the outcome, but the crowd has turned on them as they did back in game number 2. Price barely caught the rim, but the Bulls certainly want the crowd going for them, as was the case for the Cavaliers the other day in Richfield.
First time Michael dunks one of Scotty does, they'll be right back on this side.
It's a 3-on-2. Here's Sanders. The Cavaliers had hit only 1 of 7 prior to the drive by Mike Sanders.
Mark, every outlet pass that Chicago has attempted after a miss by Cleveland has gone to Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan and Paxson just take it off down the floor. They put it in Pippen's hands early.
Oh, beautiful move by Jordan. He beat Elo. Elo was hoping for some help, but Jordan able to work his way to the basket.
And if you're sitting there wondering, how can something like that happen where it looks so easy? It's because the players are anticipating help from certain areas when Michael Jordan has the basketball. Obviously, there was a breakdown that time.
And Mark Price able to bank it home to bring Cleveland within 2. Here's Pippen. Scottie Pippen certainly has come out looking for his shots. That can be good or it can hurt, because at times he can get into a situation where he will force the issue.
But the one thing I don't think will ever happen with the Chicago Bulls team is where suddenly Scottie Pippen winds up taking 33, 35 shots a game. It's just not going to work that way. But I think the other players on the team understand that Scottie was a little bit frustrated after Game 4. They're willing to live with it, let him try and get off early, and then bring him back in the fold of the team concept.
As Pippen with 13 points in the first half on Monday, and attempted only 3 shots, 0 for 3 in the second half, and as we mentioned earlier, was upset about not being part of the offense. Good job by Grant on Nance. Shot clock at 4. Grant off the steal. Here's Pippen feeding Grant for the reverse. Rebound. Pippen lost it to Sanders, but the Bulls will get it back.
They're starting back at the defensive end of the floor. Paxson played very, very aggressive defense to force the turnover. And then Cleveland very lucky that the Bulls did not convert in transition.
A timeout called. We'll be back in a moment. Yes, it was a quiet game for Scottie Pippen on Monday. A moment ago, we refer to Pippen being upset about his diminished role in the offense in Game 4. And Scottie expressed his disappointment.
Or this is a play for Scottie, or this one's for Horace. Yeah, we have primary targets, but we're not that kind of a team.
Believe me, if coach doesn't go in and say, hey, look, we're trying to only get Scottie 3 shots in the second half, you take advantage of mismatches, you play to certain situations, and then some things just happen in the flow of the game. Let's give some credit also to Cleveland for playing pretty good defense after Scottie had a big first half.
Yes, Mike Sanders did a nice job against Scottie Pippen. 6:20 remaining in this first quarter. The Bulls 10 and the Cavaliers 6. Shot clock down to 2. Doherty at a force. Cavaliers also did a very effective job, as they say in coaching parlance, jamming on the Cavaliers, preventing fast breaks. Jordan was stopped. Nance got a piece of it. Here's Elo moving on Paxson, and the foul is called.
Going back to your reference of jams, it's just to slow down the outlet pass or the initial thrust in the fast break.
And that prevented the Bulls from making the move on the transition, and the Cavaliers have been very effective at doing that. Craig Elo coming off a very solid performance. Remember, Craig Elo had 2 0 for 9s in the series against Boston. 21 points on Monday, including the 4 from three-point range. He told us when he scores 20 points, usually the Cavaliers lose. He is not out there to put in 20-plus ball games. Jordan, nice jump hook from Jordan. A post-up move by Michael for his 3rd field goal.
It's one of those examples, though, when you have a Mark Price feeling as badly as he did, you're asking other guys to step up, and Elo was one of those guys who had a very, very big game to help him to the victory.
In fact, Elo reminded us, as Doherty was stripped, Elo on the recovery, and Elo able to score. He reminded us when Michael Jordan hit the shot to beat Cleveland several years back. He scored 24 points, but he was left kneeling on the sideline watching the Bulls celebrate the moment. Alley-oop did not work, and back comes Elo. Bulls with a 3-point lead, just under 5 remaining in this first quarter. Sanders off the nice lead thrown by Craig Elo.
Crowd upset. They felt that Sanders took a couple little shuffle steps before the layup attempt.
Price got a hand in to poke it away. Here is Jordan. And ball foul is called.
Let's go back a moment ago to the battle between these two guys, Jordan and Elo. They try to get Jordan down low in the post area, and as Phil Jackson has said, he's our best post-up player in the paint. In transition, that guy run in the middle of the floor. This time, it happens to be Sanders. The crowd reacts, feeling he took a little shuffle step there. What counts is the 2 points.
Foul was called on Nance. Pippen now being guarded by John Hot Rod Williams. Here's Pippen. And rebounded by Williams.
2 times he's gotten to the rim and gotten some bad rolls.
Mark Price with his 3rd field goal. He has 6. As we mentioned earlier, Price said he feels 100% better. You can see as Jordan goes to the hoop. What extension by Michael Jordan. And the Bulls lead by 1. When Price came out in Cleveland on Monday, he was not looking for his shots. He was just looking to give his club a lift, which he did over 30 inspirational minutes. But he has been looking for the shot here tonight.
It only takes 1 move by Michael Jordan to make this crowd wake up. Although the decibel level didn't reach all the way to the top, that one there brought them out of their seats a little bit. If he throws it down, it brings them all the way out of their seats.
And at the other end, Jordan was called for the foul. 3:50 to go in this first quarter. Price, yes. 8 points for Price, and the Cavaliers lead by 1.
The screener that time was Nance. The passer that time to Price was Doherty. Doherty at the top of the circle is the adjustment Lenny Wilkins has made in the last game and the beginning of this one.
Pippen taking Williams off the dribble, then got it to Grant.
There's the thought process for Scottie Pippen. He had a couple roll off the rim, so this time he creates off the dribble, drops it to a teammate, and gets somebody else involved in the Chicago Bulls offense.
A timeout called by the Cavaliers.
And that's the biggest difficulty that we're going through right now.
Mike, I understand what he's saying, but a fan here in Chicago could look at that as a cop-out. He's looking at the big salary, and he's saying, hey, what is this about lack of hunger? How could a player have lack of hunger when he's earning that kind of money?
If there's one guy that I would never mention the word cop-out about, it's certainly Michael Jordan. And it's not like this team came out, Mark Price with the three-pointer. It's not like this team came out and just played half-heartedly during the regular season. They were on a torrid pace the entire year to break the NBA record. Fell a couple games short, and now just because it gets tougher in the playoffs, teams are more prepared. Some of the guys are banged up and injured and not shooting real well. It's been a struggle. They're not breezing through it like 15-2 in last season's playoffs.
But is that a rationalization after they're having problems? The Knicks played so well against them. The Cavaliers have certainly done a nice job. Doherty was blocked. Here comes Pippen. Cavaliers able to get back. Pippen is stripped by Price. And then has it knocked away by Grant. Grant kicked it out. It will be Cavalier ball.
And it all begins with shot blocking and defense. Doherty trying to come up on the other side of the rim, rejected. Down the other end, trying to split 2 defenders. Pippen just loses control of the basketball. Mark Price comes up with it to start to break the other way.
Bulls with a 1-point lead as we approach 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Williams posting. Shot clock at 3. Hot Rod Williams. Last touch by Cartwright.
Hot Rod Williams not having as easy a time against Grant as he did when he had Pippen on his back in game number 4.
Yes, Hot Rod able to bounce back from the subpar performance in the previous game. Had a good one on Monday. Now Price will sit down, and the rookie from the University of Oregon, Terrell Brandon, who has played well the last couple of games, has come on for Price. Brandon, a first-round draft pick, the Pac-10 Player of the Year last season. Pippen is now guarding Nance. This is Brandon with it. Being played by Jordan. Williams went behind the back, had it knocked away. B.J. Armstrong, who just checked in, gets to the loose ball and leads Pippen. And Pippen upset. On several occasions, he's felt that he has been fouled and has not received the call. Bulls lead it 18-15. Greg Elo from deep. Rebounded by Williams, and he is hit. Foul committed by Pippen. That is his first.
B.J. Armstrong, as he starts the break, sees Pippen motion with his left hand that I'm going to be there. Just lay it out in front. Sure enough, he gets it there, and then the conversion.
It is a non-shooting foul. Williams throwing in. Once again, Brad Daugherty spending much time up high. He was primarily, as Lenny Wilkins put it, a decoy in Game 4. Pretty move by Nance, yes, and it counts. That's his first bucket, and he'll go to the line with an opportunity to tie the game. The foul committed by Pippen.
In talking with Larry Nance, he has told us, I feel very comfortable playing down low. It's just a matter that we have a Brad Daugherty on our basketball team, and Lenny's offense has been structured so that Brad's the go-to guy down low. But when you get him posted up against a smaller opponent, it's problems.
The game is tied at 18 with 1 minute remaining in the first. Jordan takes the hit. Nance came over to cut the alley, and the crowd reacting in sardonic fashion as the foul was called against the Cavaliers, Larry Nance.
In basketball, you go as the flow of the game goes. It's not that you can plan it ahead of time as to what you're trying to do and not do many times. People complain that Jordan took 33 shots the last game. Well, here already in the first quarter, that's his 9th attempt in the first quarter at the basket. It's there. You got to take advantage of it. You play. You don't worry about numbers. You worry about wins.
And overall in this opening quarter, the combination of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen have taken 14 of Chicago's 19 shot attempts. Mike Sanders now replaces Larry Nance, who sits down after picking up his second.
Brad Daugherty has injured his right hand. He banged it in a collision under the basket at the Bulls' end of the floor, and he's been holding on to it now for the last 2 or 3 possessions down the floor. His shooting hand, his right hand.
And he's in pain. He's trying to hang in. Elo posting on Armstrong. Craig Elo taking advantage of the height difference between he and B.J. Armstrong. 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter. The Bulls and the Cavaliers tied at 20. Shot clock down to 5. Jordan through the hands of Daugherty. And the save attempt went astray. Cliff Livingston, who just came on, try to save it.
Again, Daugherty on that last rebound, he went after it, but he went after it not what you would call aggressively, and that hand is bothering him. Danny Ferry, the gentleman who started a little altercation with Michael Jordan in game number 4, not well received here in Chicago.
As Danny Ferry ejected, and today the announcement that he has been fined by the league $5,000. So Ferry has come on. Here's Brandon feeding Sanders, will not count. It's an offensive foul. Foul committed by Brandon.
And if you're trying to find the guy to inject some enthusiasm, it's Cliff Livingston with this play. Livingston plants himself in the lane, does the small things there, absorbing the offensive foul. Livingston, a great lift in game number 4 for Chicago.
Yes, he came off the bench, sparked the team with 8 consecutive points. Livingston with the inbounds for Grant. Time running down. Here's Hodges with a rare drive. 5/10 of a second left. Sanders. So that's the end of the first.
That's one of those plays that you practice all year. You get to use it maybe 2 or 3 times, and when it works, with just a few seconds remaining, it makes everyone happy, and you realize the importance of preparation during the season.
It is unusual to see Craig Hodges take it to the basket, but he did with authority to give Chicago a 22-20 lead after 1.
That last second play by Chicago, it's a sucker play. You want people to think that you're coming to the basketball, and they do on both sides. In the meantime, Grant is back here, and he's going to flash to the ball. Then it's time to back cut and go and see what develops at the offensive end. Here's the long pass. There's the double back cut by Jordan and Hodges. Hodges converts for Chicago. Now, a few moments before that, the injury to Brad Daugherty. He makes a terrific offensive move, but hits his hand on the rim on the follow-through after he gets the shot blocked by Grant.
And Brad Doherty remaining on the Cleveland bench as they check him over. Danny Ferry on the floor with Doherty departing. 22nd timeout has been called. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, Brad Doherty jammed the middle finger of his shooting hand. He has it taped together now. He says he's all right. He'll be able to play, but I'm sure it will affect his shooting and his ball handling.
All right, Ahmad. It's a 22-20 Bulls lead, and this has been a series that has been, as it turns out, dictated by what has taken place in the first quarter. See that 30-14 edge here in Chicago when Cleveland was able to convincingly knock off the Bulls at Chicago Stadium. Things have been a bit closer the last two games, but the team that has led after one, for what that is worth, has gone on to the victory. Ferry hearing the boos every time he touches the ball, and a foul is called. Cliff Livingston getting early time off the effort in Cleveland on Monday, and Livingston is called for that foul.
And Livingston was one of the key parts of this team in their playoff and championship drive a year ago, and it's a matter of giving him the minutes on the floor. You understand what Cliff is going to do, what he can do, what he can't do, but one thing he gives the team is energy, enthusiasm. That's one thing they've been missing.
And Craig Elo able to convert again using that size advantage against the 6'1" B.J. Armstrong. Cavaliers shot only 9 for 21 in the first quarter. The Bulls hit 10 of 21. Game is tied at 22. Here's Livingston, and he was hacked.
The lane opened up for Cliff Livingston because when he received the ball, Chicago was trying to post up Michael Jordan down low. The man playing Cliff backed off, saying, shoot the ball. Instead, Cliff improved his angle, saw the lane, took it to his right-hand side, and now the opportunity at the free throw line.
Sanders called for the foul. Phil Jackson now has a front line of Livingston with Grant and Scott Williams. Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt.
Cleveland always boxes out the Chicago guards. They put a man next to the people on the free throw line because Chicago, particularly Jordan and Pippen, like to crash in there and try and come up with some easy scores off of missed free throws. Cliff
Livingston, not a good free throw shooter. And the Bulls' foul shooting has been off the mark. Nice play by Ferry. It's worked to Williams. The extra pass costing the Cavaliers, but it was deflected out by the Bulls. So the Cavs have 20 on the shot clock.
Craig Elo never realized he had a layup. All he had to do was elevate and slip it over the front of the rim, but it's easy to say it's sitting over here.
I would say that about many of your statements. Here's Brandon. And the Cavaliers lead 24 to 22.
You throw those in just when you know the ball's going through the net all the time.
That's the only way. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, and Ahmad Rashad. Michael Jordan is now 4 of 10, but Scott Williams able to convert on the rebound. Scott Williams has played very well during the playoffs. Had an excellent game. Game 3, a playoff career high of 10 points. Williams jumping out over Hot Rod Williams, and he's called for the foul. Scott Williams, a second-year man out of North Carolina, signed as a free agent. And we're talking about the good work of Cliff Livingston, a man who played for you for a number of years as a member of the Atlanta Hawks. He emerged in the playoffs last season, his second year with the Bulls. Livingston guarding Sanders, who goes right at him, and the foul is called. Cliff is a guy you would call a quick leaper. Also, one of those type players who can go up a second and third time, and that is so unusual when they're battling off the boards.
As well as Cliff Livingston has played, one of his problems is that he's a tweener. He is a small forward, size, meaning height, etc., but his skills are not those of a small forward. Perimeter game, passing, dribbling, etc. But on the other hand, he has the power forward moves of aggressiveness on the glass, second and third effort, but he's not as tall as a lot of the power forwards, so he gets caught in between sometimes, but you can never question his zest for the game and the fact that he comes and shows up to play every night, all season long. You can count on Cliff.
Cavaliers lead 26-24. Michael Jordan unleashing. He has 12, and he's tied the game at 26.
As he ran a little curl move, he drew 3 players, and it was like all 3 of them couldn't decide who was going to go after him.
Here's Elo for 3. Ferry able to rescue. Both Ferry and Elo went down. Shot clock at 5. Sanders from deep. Elo able to get another opportunity. And Scott Williams starts back.
I'm not sure Craig Elo really wanted it.
Armstrong. Good hustle by Brandon to come up with it. Cavaliers have a backcourt of Brandon and Elo up front. Williams with Sanders and Ferry. Here's Sanders. Mike Sanders looking for the outside shot. He had that enormous three-point field goal on Monday with 3.5 minutes left in the game, extending the Cavalier lead to 7 just when the Bulls appeared to be in the midst of a late rally. It was only his second three-pointer of the season. That is not the shot that you want to see Livingston fire up.
Cliff just wanted to find out if he still was as hot as he was in game number 4. So he took his jump, and now he'll go back to work and do the other things.
Cavaliers lead 28-26. 4 minutes gone by. Second quarter. Here's Ferry for 3. And Grant able to get to it.
Well, Price and Battle and those guys let Ferry get into that three-point shooting competition, and then after practice, he thought he'd test his range.
A reach-in foul called on the Cavaliers.
Matter of fact, the pitcher's been hanging there all year.
That was May 7th, 1989. Game played at the Coliseum in Richfield, and on that last second jumper by Michael Jordan, the Bulls knocked off the Cavaliers 101-100 in the Eastern Conference first round series to win the series 3-2. Both clubs in the midst of a drought, not shooting well. Scottie Pippen has returned. Pippen had it knocked away by Sanders. Shot clock is at 7. Here's Jordan. That's 2-point range. Kept alive. They get the new 24, deflected out by Sanders. It will be Chicago ball. Bulls lead, I should say the Cavs lead 28-26 with 7.5 remaining in this first half.
Xavier McDaniel played Scottie Pippen very tough during the New York series, and Mike Sanders, the same thing. Sanders is a very good defensive player. He gave Larry Bird a tough time in Game 7 of their series against Boston.
And Livingston was fouled. Brad Daugherty returning, hit the deck, and was called for the foul, his first. Both clubs struggling. Cavaliers 12 for 29, that's 41%. The Bulls 12 for 27, 44%.
Just prior to that timeout, Cleveland wanted to go to Hot Rod Williams matched up against Livingston down low in the hole. So we'll see if they get back to that now this next trip down the floor.
Now Craig Elo returns. Terrell Brandon sitting down. John Paxson has come on for B.J. Armstrong. Cliff Livingston, a 62% free throw shooter.
And right now, no one is blocking out Scottie Pippen at the top of the three-point circle, and that's an area he likes to crash the glass from. Normally, Mike Sanders would be inside of him, blocking him out. Here goes Pippen to the glass.
However, Livingston able to hit on his second free throw. Cavaliers back to the backcourt of Price and Elo with Daugherty, Sanders, Williams up front. Hot Rod Williams in a battle with Cliff Livingston. Scott Williams came over to help against Sanders from outside. So Mike Sanders looking for the outside shot has opened up strong. He's hit 4 of 7. He has 10, and the Cavs lead 30-28.
Well, in last night's game, Utah against Portland, we saw Tyrone Corbin step up and have a terrific shooting game from the outside. A guy who most people may not have known he has that ability to do that. Mike Sanders, when he gets on a roll, pretty good 17-foot jump shooter.
And Paxson, also a pretty good jump shooter from that range. Able to tie the game at 30 for Paxson, his first field goal. Now the matchup is Paxson going up against Price. Sanders off the fake. 3-on-2 led by Pippen. The Bulls take a 2-point lead.
Scottie Pippen landed that time, and the tender right ankle, once again, he felt the pain. He sat out yesterday's practice, was the only player not to practice, trying to get treatment on it.
Well, Mike Sanders may have been out of his range right there. The call is against Cleveland.
This is where Pippen re-injures the ankle. Once again, he comes down on Elo's ankle on the pass-off, turns that tender right ankle. But manages to find enough steam and enough energy to get it to the rim on his next attempt.
And the foul was called on Doherty. We'll be right back. Well, to this point, Scottie Pippen, who has certainly been looking for his shot in the first half, has gone 3 of 7. And as Scottie has gone, so have the Bulls in this series. In their 2 victories, Pippen, 58% shooting. He's averaged 26 a game. And the 2 defeats, 36% shooting, averaging only 12 per ball game, and he had that up-and-down series against the New York Knicks. As you mentioned, certainly Xavier McDaniel did a terrific job defensively and physically against Pippen, and Pippen is still hurting, taking treatments for the sprained ankle and also bothered by the injured wrist.
If you go back a few years ago on draft day when Scottie Pippen was selected, a lot of people said, who's Scottie Pippen? Then when he elevates his game and brings it to an all-star Olympian status and helps him win a world championship, the expectation levels become so great that you can't even have a couple bad games without everybody jumping on your case.
Livingston off the spin is called for a travel.
You have a few guys right now getting a little bit out of character, trying to do a little bit too much. One end Livingston, the other end Sanders. Get back into the flow of the things and get the ball to the guys that normally get it done on a regular basis.
Chicago with a 2-point lead. 5:35 remaining in the first half. Price tried to use the pick, then goes pick and roll with Doherty. Rejected by Scott Williams. Williams had his eye on attempting the shot, and as a result, lost the handle. Here's Price. Rejected again by Williams. Elo bumped by Pippen. Pippen called for his third.
Both of these teams have the ability to change shots. Normally it's Cleveland, it's number 1 in the NBA, but now Chicago, the one shot blocked by Williams, and then the second one, and he doesn't care whether it's a big guy or a guard. He takes no prisoners, just go after it, change and block.
Pippen sitting down. Now it's Jordan and Paxson in the backcourt. Cartwright returning up front now with Livingston and Williams. Chicago with 4 blocked shots in this first half. Nance, who just checked back in, and rebounded by Livingston. The Bulls lead it 32-30. Just under 5 remaining. In this first half, crowd reacting. They wanted a foul called on Price. Livingston trap gets it out. And the Bulls regroup. Well, Cartwright, bothered by Doherty, goes right at him. So the Bulls lead by 4.
Brad Doherty may say that he's okay, but that finger right now is a factor. Every time there's a potential contact situation, he's pulling that hand back. He doesn't want to get hit there.
Nance with his second field goal. He has 5. Brad Doherty has not scored in this first half. He's 0 for 4.
Well, he was only 2 for 7 in game number 4 after averaging 16 shots a game in the first 3 games.
Here's Jordan. Yes. So the Bulls with a 36-32 lead. 14 for Michael Jordan. He's the high man. He's 6 of 13 from the field. Williams bottled up. Jordan played on a switch by Sanders. That won't count. Sanders with the foul before the shot attempt.
Well, let's go back a moment ago to when Bill Cartwright made his offensive move against Darty. Not real happy with the physical contact, so Bill takes it to the paint, uses the left hand, finishes with a little sweeping hook. Now, Jordan, smart enough to know that even though the whistle went off, got to do something to get this crowd into it. Let's throw one down. Sure enough, they responded, the people in the seats.
Jordan is now 3 of 3 from the line. Michael Jordan presented with his third Most Valuable Player award last week. Look at the last 9 MVPs: Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan over the last 9 years. Incidentally, Magic Johnson will be joining Dick Enberg and Steve Jones for NBC's coverage of Portland and Utah tomorrow night, starting at 9 Eastern Time from Salt Lake City. Craig Elo with 9 points, and the Bulls with a 38-34 advantage. We approach 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Jordan. Oh, he left Elo standing.
Decision has to be made. Do you force Michael Jordan to the baseline, or do you bring him back to the middle of the floor when he catches it sideline extended along the sideline area at the offensive end?
Nance, he thought he was pushed. The Bulls with a fast break. Michael Jordan able to convert, and the Cavaliers want to talk it over.
There's a guy who's going to take the team on his shoulders and carry him. This man is certainly not afraid to be the one. Jordan with the quick step and move to the basket. Then in transition, up over the top of Mark Price.
And Mike Fratello. Marv?
Thank you, Bob. The Chicago Bulls in the midst of a 14-4 run and lead the Cleveland Cavaliers by 8.
A key area. A problem for Cleveland in Game 3 with the big people up front. Points in the paint where mostly the big guys operate. Obviously, Chicago, a decided advantage. This quarter alone, 12-0 in favor of the Chicago Bulls. You know, Doherty not having points, that's one thing. You can get away with that because in Game 4, Hot Rod and Nance both responded. But up to this point, Hot Rod has no points.
And he drew the foul. It was blocked by Scott Williams. You recall back in Game 3, the Cleveland front line did not produce offensively. Hot Rod Williams able to turn it on Monday. Scott Williams committing his second. The Bulls have hit their last 6 field goal attempts, and they have their biggest lead of the night. Series tied at 2. Game 6 back at the Coliseum in Richfield on Friday night. And we'll be on hand starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. 6-point Chicago lead. 2:20 remaining in the first half. Cartwright feeling for Doherty. Goes to the fadeaway and is rebounded by Williams, who's fouled. Jordan came over to help out. Grant indicating the foul is on him, but Hugh Hollins says no, it is Michael Jordan, and that is 3 on Jordan.
And that's the tremendous awareness that NBA players have on the floor. As soon as the foul took place, Grant put his hand up in the air, saying, I'd rather pick up the foul on me than have Michael get one, but Hugh Hollins along the baseline immediately waved it. There's the hand up. No, Hugh Hollins said, I know who fouled him first.
And Jordan will be replaced by Craig Hodges. Michael Jordan taking over here in the second quarter. Overall, 8 for 15 for 20 points, and he'll sit down.
There's been some questioning of Lenny Wilkins. Why hasn't John Battle played in a couple of these playoff games when he was such a big factor during the regular season? The reason is the fact that Lenny wants to match up. When Hodges comes on the floor, he wants Battle in the game. Hodges hasn't come on the floor very much during those 2 games that Battle sat. Here he is, but only 2 minutes remaining. So Lenny feels, why change something that's going good? I stay with the guys that are playing well. He wants size on Jordan.
Craig Hodges, who did hit that driving layup to end the first quarter, is now 1 for 15. I think 2 for 15 from the field in this series. Paxson knocking it away from Price. to go in the first half. Paxson doing it off the dribble. John Paxson with his second field goal, and the Bulls lead by 6.
And we're seeing one of those rare moments when the Chicago Bulls operate in a meaningful part of the game without either one of their superstars, Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen, out on the floor.
Both sitting down with 3 personals. Hot Rod Williams and Scott Williams, who has done an excellent job off the boards, able to get to it.
You're mentioning the shooting woes of Craig Hodges. Would you like to leave him alone for an uncontested three-pointer?
Me personally in a one-on-one, or are you talking about when you say you, meaning the Cavaliers?
Wasn't a three-pointer.
I see. Yes, he is still a threat, although he has been having his difficulties. Craig Elo has been off. In fact, the Cavaliers are 0 for 7 from three-point range. And a 20-second timeout taken by Phil Jackson. He wants to talk about these final 22 seconds. The Bulls with a 6-point lead, 22 seconds to go in the first half. Looking back at this series, game number 1, Scottie Pippen came up with a 29-point, 12-rebound, 9-assist performance, and Chicago won here in Chicago. Then the surprise, the Cavaliers, led by Brad Daugherty, who hit for 28, able to come back and win 107-81, then tied the series. And then game 3 in Cleveland last Saturday, the Bulls wiped out the Cavaliers early. You recall they led by as many as 23. They opened up with a 19-2 lead. They led 26-4, and they put it away. But Cleveland able to turn it back in game number 4 on Monday. Hot Rod Williams off the bench by himself. He outscored the Chicago bench with the 18 points. And Cleveland got the inspirational effort by Mark Price, who spent the previous night of the Cleveland Clinic with the stomach virus. And the Cavs able to even the series on Monday. Well, Michael Jordan has checked back in. Bulls will hold for a final shot. I guess they won't. Michael Jordan saw the opportunity. They still have 10. And Jordan misses again. Rebound, Scott Williams. Now 6 seconds to go in this first half. Bulls lead 46-38. Brandon able to get it off. At halftime here at Chicago Stadium, led by Michael Jordan, who has 20 points. The Chicago Bulls in front of the Cleveland Cavaliers by the score of 46-38. Neither club shooting well in this first half. When we come back, Bob Costas and Quinn Buckner with the Prudential halftime report. It's Chicago by 8 at halftime.
The Cavaliers 46-38. The pattern continues of the playoffs. Michael Jordan with a huge
3 from downtown. So as we head to the third quarter, it's Chicago 46, Cleveland 38. Thanks, guys. Interestingly, Jay Leno on tonight's session of the Tonight Show will have Joe Pesci, who, as it turns out, is playing Mike Fratello in the life story of the Czar. What a coincidence. I'm sorry. Sanders with 10, leading the Cavaliers. Jordan leading the Bulls with 20. And that's a telltale sign on the Cavaliers when Mike Sanders is the high point man. The rest of the front line has suffered. Nance 2 out of 5, 5 points. Daugherty 0 for 4, has not scored. Hot Rod Williams 0 for 2, 4 points, all from the foul line.
You find a way to win. Right now it's been the Chicago Bulls defense against the front line of Cleveland.
Well, Nance gets right to it. And the Bulls now lead 46-40. Third quarter underway. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, and Ahmad Rashad from Chicago Stadium, better than 18,000 on hand. The Bulls trying to go back to Cleveland with a 3-2 edge. Cavaliers looking to do the same. Nance called for the foul. That's 3 on Nance. Game 6 of this best of 7 will be played in Richfield on Friday night. You'll see it right here on NBC starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
A big advantage for Chicago on points in the paint in the first half, 33-13. In that second quarter, 14-zip in favor of Chicago.
Nice fake by Jordan.
Make that 35-13 in the paint.
So, with 1 minute gone by, in this third quarter, Mark Price able to drill it home, and the Bulls now lead 48-42. Price has 10. He's hit 5 of 9.
Lenny Wilkins just signaled Craig Elo, stay down on the ball fakes, make him make some jumpers from the outside. Don't get up in the air.
Pippen with his fourth field goal. He has 8. The Bulls 50, and the Cavaliers 42. Price and Elo at the guards. Darby, Nance, and Sanders up front. And Price does it again, this time from three-point land. So the Cavaliers with their first three-point field goal. They missed their first 7. 5-point Chicago lead. Pippen feeling around for the presence of Sanders, and then he was hacked. That's the third charge to Mike Sanders.
Well, Michael Jordan down low, shows the ball, gets the defensive man to elevate, and then from there it's just clear sailing to the front of the rim.
So Pippen to the free throw line, and the Bulls have certainly had their problems. 19 for 19 from the line in game 1, and then they tailed off 10 of 17 on Monday. And Pippen missing on his first attempt. Chicago only 6 of 9 from the foul line this evening. Pippen missing on both foul shots. Scottie Pippen a 76% foul shooter. Sanders getting inside, it counts, and the foul. He was able to get position on Cartwright.
Bill Cartwright may not have seen Mike Sanders coming along the baseline side that time, and then he just out-quicked him and got the shot up. Cartwright trying to react for the block, too late. Cartwright more concerned about Daugherty. Instead, Daugherty takes an outside pass. Sanders sneaks to the inside.
13 for Sanders. And the Bulls with a 50-48 lead. Mike Sanders waived by the Indiana Pacers back in November, spending most of his time playing pickup basketball at a health club in Indianapolis. He had played with the Cavaliers earlier in his career. They signed him, and he has played a major role in the Cavs' success. Reach-in foul on Elo. That is his second. It is a non-shooting foul. Cleveland Cavaliers won 57 games during the regular season. They were the most improved team of the NBA, 57 victories, tied for second with Portland, right behind Chicago. Here's Grant. He's stripped and fouled.
The last move by Scottie Pippen is the type of creativity that Phil Jackson allows the basketball team. If you have someone up, crowding you tight, like Mike Sanders is trying to play him, then put it on the floor, take it to the basket, make something good happen.
And that number 4 on Sanders. Hot Rod Williams getting set to come on for Mike Sanders.
Go back to game number 3. Mike Sanders in foul trouble the entire game, 0-point productivity as a result of the struggling front line for Cleveland.
Both Pippen and Jordan trying to settle Grant down as he went way off on that first free throw attempt. Chicago 6 of 11 from the line. Horace Grant, 74% free throw shooter during the regular season. Bulls 51, and the Cavaliers 48. 2.5 gone by in the third. Here's Nance with the jump hook, rebounded by Pippen. Jordan, wild shot. Horace Grant able to convert.
I thought it was a perfect pass.
I know Michael will say that. And the Bulls lead by 5. Timeout taken by Lenny Wilkes.
Well, Pippen gave the ball up ahead to Michael Jordan, and it was up to Jordan to create something. Here, he
Started Bulls games, and suddenly now there's a little adversity, and we're faced with some great teams. The Final Four in the NBA are some good basketball clubs, and they're just not used to seeing their team not perform well.
Well, Jack looked to be excited. He's ready.
is into the basketball.
8:45 remaining in this third quarter. Cleveland gets another possession out of it. Bulls lead 53-48. Hot Rod Williams rebounded by Brad Daugherty. Here is Elo being played now tightly by Jordan. Had a notion to pump the three, then changed his mind. The Bulls converging on Nance to break up that entry pass. And the foul called on Nance. That is his 4th.
That last offensive rebound by Brad Daugherty, he never even made an attempt to go up with the basketball. When this game is over and they x-ray that hand, you may find out there's more damage done than we know right now. But he is in pain. Every time he goes after it, gets a rebound and kicks it out, you see him shaking that hand or holding on to it.
So the Bulls back to the line. Pippen 0 for 2 from the free throw line. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, on Brad Daugherty's hand, it's not actually the injury to the finger, but it's actually in the knuckle. He had the finger bent all the way back and stretched the ligaments in his knuckle. He's playing with a lot of pain, and that's why he's not touching the ball much with that right hand. Marv?
Brought him out earlier in the playoffs. Brad, bothered by a sprained right ankle, was able to play right through that. Bulls 54 and the Cavaliers 48. 4 minutes gone by in the third. Nance hanging in with the 4 fouls. Paxson hit the deck. Price for 3. Mark Price hitting his second three-pointer. And the Cavaliers are within 3.
The reason Price was so wide open, if you're wondering how can that be, it's because Paxson tried to bump Grant on a slice cut. Not only did he bump him, he got knocked to the ground. The result, a wide open Mark Price.
Wild shot tossed up by Pippen, who was played well by Nance. And the foul committed by Daugherty.
On that open three-pointer, here's Price setting the screen. Paxson's going to bump the cutter, but watch what happens on the slice cut. Paxson bumps him, bang, down goes Paxson. The result, a wide open Mark Price for 3.
They changed the foul call. It is not Daugherty, it is Nance. And he sits down after collecting his 5th. Cleveland now over the limit. So Nance to the bench. The Bulls are now 9 of 15 from the line. Larry Nance only 3 of 8, 7 points. He had the outstanding game on Monday. 22 points, 11 rebounds.
And here are the guards boxing out Pippen and Jordan in case there's a miss underneath after missing 5 or 6 free throws. Then maybe you start paying some more attention to the fact that they may come up with a second shot off another miss.
Nance sitting down. Sanders returns, although he's playing with 4 fouls. The Bulls with a 5-point lead. Elo, that's a three-pointer. At first, the official in rush uncertain. He thought Elo might have stepped on the line, but Elo was able to step away.
Initial signal was a 2, then they changed it to the 3.
The Bulls by 2. Jordan going glass. Michael Jordan with 24. Chicago 58 and Cleveland 54. Price with the runner and Cartwright with the rebound. The Bulls on the open floor. It's a 4-on-2, broken up. Hot Rod Williams able to slow it down.
Well, Michael just assumed that Paxson was going to be there. He saw it all the way down the floor. Never thought that Hot Rod Williams would stop outside by the 3-point line.
Pippen is wide open. Scottie Pippen is now 4 of 11. 6.5 remaining. Third quarter. On the 24, Elo.
That time, Michael Jordan guarding Mark Price. The move that they made back in Cleveland, which helped to turn the game around for Chicago. Price knocks out the three. Chicago makes the move so that he doesn't get on a roll. Put a bigger guy, Michael Jordan, defending him.
Foul on Price is first.
A few moments ago, Elo spotted up in the right-hand corner. Is that right toe on the line or not? Ed Rush starts to signal it too. That there he changes it at the last second. Shows the three-point attempt.
Jordan to the line with the Cavaliers over the foul limit. Cleveland 0 for 7 from three-point range in the first half. But, Mike, here in the second, they have hit 3 of 3.
Elo just sliding that toe back at the last second to make it a 3.
Elo glancing over at Ed Rush, who was about to give the indication of 2 and then was able to step back. Bulls 60 and the Cavaliers 54.
Are you saying that the glance put Ed Rush on a guilt trip? And he...
No. Cartwright jumping out on a switch, guarding Elo, who's looking for the mismatch. Elo.
Well, that mismatch doesn't do you much good if you pull up and shoot a fadeaway jump shot from 20 feet. You got to put it on the floor, take it to the basket.
Cartwright, yes. His third field goal, and it's opened up an 8-point Chicago lead. Mark Price asking for the timeout. And now the Bulls hear the reaction.
Always known as a defensive player when he came on the floor for the New York Knicks.
And this Chicago crowd is now very much back into it. The Bulls have opened up an 8-point lead, 5:20 remaining in the third. And a foul called on the Bulls.
It's almost as if the small alarm clocks that everyone's carrying went off now, and the crowd was back in it just before the foul was called.
Michael Jordan did not like the call. That his fourth. Michael said, my hands were up. Did not make the contact. Sanders battling for position with Pippen. Price swinging away. Oh, what a shot by Mark Price. Swinging away from John Paxson. And he's brought the Cavaliers within 6. 18 for Price.
Well, now a decision for Phil Jackson. Do you leave Michael Jordan on the floor? Do you give him his rest right now and try and get to the end of this quarter? The concern, will he pick up his 5th?
At number 5 on Mike Sanders.
On this shot, the crowd reacted. They felt Price jumped into Paxson right here. That an offensive foul should have been called. But sensational concentration by Mark Price after the contact still knocks down the jumper.
10 of Price's 18 points have come here in the third quarter. Scottie Pippen is now 1 of 5 from the line. Foul rundown 5 apiece on Nance and Sanders. Jordan has 4, Pippen with 3. The Bulls 63, Cavaliers 56. And here's pressure by Chicago. Hot Rod Williams getting to the open floor. That shot was altered by Horace Grant.
And Chicago has not pressed Cleveland very much as they normally do during the course of the regular season or as they did during last year's playoffs.
Grant with the putback for the foul. The Bulls very lively off the boards. Foul called on Williams. Mike, as we look at the Bulls this year as compared to last season, most significantly, it does not seem that the Bulls are able to go at the frantic pace defensively that was so effective a year ago. Why do you think that?
Well, it's the one area that jumps out at me, that this team was a pressing, trapping, forced turnovers, double-team the ball in the backcourt, and then recover quickly to swipe, steal, block shots, and then go back the other way. Injuries could be a factor, the number of minutes that have been played by certain players, or their respect for the Cleveland Cavalier team, the fact that they will attack and do have scorers at the other end of the floor to hurt them.
And once again, Danny Ferry greeted by this Chicago crowd. It was Ferry who was involved with Michael Jordan in that scuffle on Monday. Ferry taking a A punch at Jordan, ejected. Fine $5,000. Here's Price for three. Mark Price on fire. He has 21 points. And Chicago now leads 65-59. Cavaliers have found the touch from three-point range in the second half. They've hit on 4 of 4 from downtown. Here's Jordan to the left hand. And things are heating up at both ends. The Bulls 67. The Cavaliers 59. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Cleveland still needs to establish some type of inside game because suddenly Chicago can go on one of those runs here and the game could be over.
Hot Rod Williams 0 for 5 from the field. Jordan looked to break to the basket. Put the move on Elo. Cavaliers now have Elo and Price at the guards. Doherty, Williams, Ferry up front. Nance and Sanders sitting down after picking up their 5th foul. Jordan is playing with 4. Shot clock down to 6. Doherty. And Pippen to the boards. Lost it. Ferry for Williams. Back to Ferry. And he blew the layup. Williams on the follow. Danny Ferry firing a brick at the glass.
Just a backboard pass. It all depends how you look at it.
67-61. Chicago. And Jordan was pushed.
When you know that everybody is on your case, sometimes when little things like this come up and the opportunity's there for a score, you got to make, do I want it? Does he want it? Do I give it to him? Whoa. The ball out of his hands. A lot of pressure on Danny Ferry.
Danny Ferry acquired in the most controversial trade in Cavaliers history. And Danny hearing it from the crowd. It was Ferry and Reggie Williams to Cleveland for Ron Harper. 2 first-rounders and a second-round pick. There's the deal with the LA Clippers. Danny Ferry lured from Italy for some $34 million over 10 years and has been on the disappointing side. It's been tough for Danny to get the playing time with that talented Cleveland front line. But when he's played, he's been foul-prone. Speed a question mark for a small forward. And the other question at this point is, he strong enough to play power forward?
I just think as he goes on here in the NBA, Danny Ferry is going to settle into what his role is. Coming off the bench, he'll be a very good basketball player, doing his job, being a good defender, boxing out, knocking out a few open shots, and a very good passer.
The basket counts. It's a goaltend plus the foul. Foul call on Livingston.
If the ball is on the glass, you cannot take it off, but you may block it to the glass. So if the ball touches the glass first and then Grant swipes it off, it's 2 points. That's it. No question about it.
Bulls 69, Cavaliers 64. So Livingston is back in. He's up front with Cartwright and Grant. B.J. Armstrong has replaced John Paxson. Price knocking it away. Armstrong off the recovery. Rebounded by Grant. 11 rebounds for Horace Grant, coming up big off the boards for the second straight game. Here's Armstrong. Yes. And that is his first field goal. Bulls lead by 7.
Perhaps the idea of making Mark Price play a little bit of defense will help cool him off at the offensive end.
Price throwing up the 3. Elo for Doherty. And for Brad Doherty, his first field goal of the night.
Normally he would have taken that and tried to dunk it, create the potential there for a 3-point play, but with the bad hand, the bad knuckle, no way. Just got to lay it up there soft, hope for the best.
Michael Jordan, yes. The Bulls 73, Cavaliers 66. Doherty getting down in a hurry, kept alive, and a foul is called. Yes, he is struggling. Hand a factor, but he'll go to the line. The foul committed by Grant.
Here he would have taken it 2 hands and slammed it down, trying to draw the contact. Instead, just lays it up there and hopes for the best. He got the roll that time, but the hand bothers him. Each time he touches it, goes after it, it's a factor.
Brad Daugherty with his third point. Now Scott Williams replaces Horace Grant. And Horace, here's the applause, 10 points, 11 rebounds.
That last offensive rebound that Grant got, he was in the middle of two Cleveland Cavalier players, and just determination, hard work produced another shot opportunity for Chicago.
Chicago leads 73-68. 1:15 left in the third. DJ Armstrong handing it over to Michael Jordan. DJ Armstrong making some headlines the last couple of days here in Chicago. The ball knocked out of bounds by the Cavaliers. Armstrong taking exception to both Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson saying the bench did not contribute the other day. And DJ felt it was wrong to bring that to the attention of the media. But should have been kept within the ball club. But if you're asked about it, what are you going to say? No, they did a good job. And it's kicked out, says Hugh Hollins. It'll be Cleveland ball. Armstrong saying the criticism was unjust. Well, Hot Rod Williams outscored the Chicago bench by himself.
When the pressure's on, some things are said that normally aren't said when you're on a smooth roll like 67 wins during the course of the regular season.
Cartwright with the rebound of the Furry miss. 35 seconds to go in the third. Armstrong for three. And Furry could not hold on. It will be Chicago ball. Cliff Livingston screaming at Danny Furry. Lee Jones trying to settle it down.
Well, Michael Jordan has played in this quarter with 4 personal fouls for well over 5 minutes. And Cleveland has not had a guy out there that can really take him off the dribble and try to pick up that 5th foul on Jordan. That's a problem because Elo is more of a straight up and down player, spot up guy, 3-point shooter.
Timeout has been taken with 28 seconds remaining in the third. And the by-play between Livingston and Furry. Don't read lips. See, Eastern time, it's almost 11 p.m., Mike. I know that I want to see that kind of stuff.
They're in bed by now. Yes.
Well, a look at NBC's prime time NBA schedule. Tomorrow night, Portland and Utah. Terrific game last night, won in overtime by Portland, despite the injury suffered by John Stockton, who sat out the second half. Utah able to hang in. Delaney Rudd came off the bench, did a nice job. They go at it tomorrow night. Dick Enberg, Steve Jones, and Irvin Magic Johnson. That's tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then Friday, Chicago and Cleveland will resume at the Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. Airtime at 9. There is Chicago Bulls assistant coach Johnny Bach. Nice to see him back on the bench, back from the angioplasty procedure. Dick Clemens to his right. Next winner, the other Bulls assistant, under the head man, Phil Jackson. Michael Jordan is the high man with 32 points, 12 of the 32 here in the third quarter. And Mark Price providing the spark for Cleveland with 16 of his 24 coming in the third. Well, Mark Price told us before the game that he's feeling fine. He said he's 100% better than he was on Monday. He had spent the previous night hooked up to IVs at the Cleveland Clinic in a hospital bed, did not eat for 2 days, was lightheaded, weak, but hung in and pushed himself to play, and he has played very well. Michael Jordan sitting down. Apparently, Phil Jackson does not want to take a chance. Jordan has 4 fouls.
Plus, it gives him the additional rest time. You finish out these last 20-something seconds, then the timeout will come at the end of the quarter. Give Michael the long rest that he needs.
Scottie Pippen This shooting touch has been off. Final seconds. Ferry, he's fouled. It counts. Danny Ferry with the basket, and he will go to the line. Time has run out here in the third. So Ferry has had a difficult time of it and has also heard some harsh words from Cliff Livingston, able to hit on the drive. Paxson called for the foul, and now Ferry will go to the line. This will end the third quarter. A three-point play by Ferry, and it cuts the Chicago lead to 2. It's the Bulls 73 and the Cavaliers 71. 3 quarters complete here in Chicago. Lenny Wilkens reacting to the drive by Ferry. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station.
If you don't have to, you don't want to shoot the ball too quickly to end the quarter. Chicago did it, gave Cleveland a chance to push it back, and Price gives it up to Ferry. And if Mark Price did it with the thought in mind that, hey, this guy's been struggling, the crowd's on him, let's try and help him get it off his back, well, it was a terrific move because Ferry, that might just be the thing he needed to be a contributor for the remainder of this series.
And Lenny Wilkens will stay with Danny Ferry as we open up in this fourth quarter. The Cavaliers outscoring the Bulls 33-27 in the third. They are within 2. Chicago has led by as many as 9. Chicago ball as we open up in the fourth. Shot clock at 3. And a 3-second violation is called. Michael Jordan remaining on the bench. Phil Jackson going with Horace Grant. Scott Williams, Scottie Pippen, Cliff Livingston, and B.J. Armstrong. Pressure from Armstrong. Cavaliers with Price and Elo in the backcourt. Doherty, Ferry, and Williams up front.
So now what Phil Jackson has done is move Scottie Pippen into the 2-guard position to match up against Craig Elo.
And Pippen loses to Williams and then grabs it back and calls for a timeout. Terrific defensive play by Hot Rod Williams. The Bulls take a 20. Scott Williams shaken up.
Well, just when it looks like Pippen's going to have a clear sail up the floor, the reach in by Hot Rod, and then the near turnover, the quick timeout called by Scotty, the 20 taken by the Bulls.
This has been a close game throughout. The last time the game was tied was at 30 apiece in the second quarter. The Bulls have led most of the way, and they've led by as many as 9. Now, Terrell Brandon has checked in, and Cleveland goes with a 3-guard alignment. Well, check that John Battle getting set to make his return. And when Battle comes on, Cavaliers will go to the, perhaps they will go to the 3-guard setup. Here's Livingston. Cliff Livingston with his first field goal, and the Bulls have a 75-71 lead. And now the Cavaliers call for time. A minute 9 gone by in this fourth quarter. Cavaliers taking a 20-second timeout.
Mark Price looked to me just then that he may have injured his knee. Livingston takes the bounce pass after the pick and roll and then elevates up over the top of Ferry. But just as Mark Price came up the floor and stopped short, called the timeout, he took the injured knee and started to try and shake it and move it a little bit. And now the trainer working on it for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Price bringing it up. And perhaps it's right there, the player going by. Scott Williams seemed to kick his left leg as he went by.
Last year, the Cavaliers season went down when Mark Price suffered the ligament damage in his left knee. He underwent reconstructive surgery, played only 16 games last season. Prior to that knee injury, he was one of the NBA's fastest point guards, very deceptively so. And he's come back strong this year.
Gary Briggs, the trainer, I'm not sure it's not the ankle rather than the knee that they're more concerned about right now. Maybe the ankle getting kicked by Scott Williams as he went by.
Well, now Brandon has come on. John Battle remaining on the sideline. Brandon with a poor shot, and it's handled by Doherty. Goes to the hook. Loose ball foul called on the Cavaliers. And now John Battle, who has not played the last 2 games of this series, will come on. Loose ball foul on Hot Rod Williams. That is his 3rd.
The ankle being worked on, the left ankle of Mark Price. That's the one that was kicked by Scott Williams as he went by. The same concern of Battle guarding Pippen will take place here. Is Pippen too big for Battle to stop? Can they get Pippen close enough to take advantage of the size?
Scott Williams with his 3rd field goal. He's come up 3 of 3 from the field. The Bulls 77 and the Cavaliers 71. John Battle goes, at least he's listed at 6'2". Nice play. And Pippen able to reject Battle.
It's a big gamble when you bring 2 guards in off the bench and both of them are cold. It's tough to get them both going at the same time. That's why coach
Just strained his ankle a little bit. I was talking to trainer Gary Briggs. They're going to retape it, and they do expect him to return to the game. Marv?
Artemad and Mark Price has had a terrific night. 10 of 17, 24 points.
Another young man who's having an outstanding evening off the bench, Scott Williams for the Chicago Bulls. Williams with 6 points, 6 rebounds at this point, and another guy who had a little statement to make in the paper today concerning the bench productivity for Chicago.
Well, he thought it was unfair if people were looking at his stats 1 for 5 because he said 7 of those were tips and putbacks, and he had played so well the other game. Jordan off the steal, the triple pump, yes, and it counts.
I'm not so sure that Michael Jordan didn't walk over to him after he made the basket. The bounce pass, a couple pump fakes in here to get the defense in the air, and then the conversion. When Jordan walked over, he may have just said, relax, there's a lot of time left in this game. Don't get too excited.
And John Williams with his 5th. Cavaliers having their difficulties here in the early portion of the 4th quarter. They're 1 for the last 8 overall. That goes back to the 3rd quarter. And they have not scored here in the 4th with 2.5 gone by. Chicago in the midst of a 6-0 run here at the start of the 4th. Pippen jumping out, nearly came up with it. Nance is rejected. And a loose ball foul called on Chicago. Now Mark Price getting set to return. Horace Grant called for the foul, his 2nd.
Coming into this game, both teams with the same number of block shots, but as far as this evening, a 9-2 advantage in favor of Chicago.
Battle beating Williams, traveling violation.
John Battle's the guy that's trying to put the 5th foul on Michael Jordan because Battle has the ability to take people off the dribble. Michael Jordan, to his credit, excellent defensive player, moved his legs. Battle trying to make a nice pass, traveling first.
John Battle in his 7th season out of Rutgers, signed with Cleveland as a free agent after 6 years with Atlanta. Jordan going right at Battle. Rebound Pippen. And the Bulls have opened up a 10-point lead.
And I would not be surprised to see Lenny Wilkins make a substitution. He has a concern that when Battle comes in, Michael is just too big and shoots over the top of him. He feels he needs a bigger player to play against Michael Jordan.
Hugh Hollins blowing the whistle. And a foul called on Pippen. That is his 4th. Greg Elo checking back in. So now Elo and Price in the backcourt. backcourt.
Yeah, and John Battle cannot let this affect him feeling that there's a personal thing here. It's just the matchup factor. When Jordan's going to be on the floor for 44, 46 minutes, it's tough for him to play.
Armstrong called for a hold. So a brief appearance by Battle, who was replaced by Elo. The Bulls with an 8-0 run, and they have their biggest lead of the night, a margin of 10. Elo going strong to the basket, turned back by Grant. Here's Jordan with Armstrong. Cavaliers call for time.
A team of streaks. You must stop the runs by the Chicago Bulls. The defense of the Bulls, 10 block shots in this game already. And then the ability to change ends of the floor and get quick scores. If you play with Chicago and let them get the runs, the game can be over suddenly.
A 10-0 run by the Bulls. They lead the Cavaliers 83-71 with 4 minutes gone by. In the fourth quarter, Michael Jordan 12 for 26, 32 points in all.
Forcing turnovers for Chicago, the style of play they used last season on the way to the championship, again taking place this evening. Points off of turnovers. Chicago 17, Cleveland just 2.
Price forced to work hard to get across the 10-second line. And then a leg block. Cleveland gets the new 24. Cavaliers go with Price and Elo in the backcourt. Doherty, Nance, and Williams up front. A very quiet performance by the Cleveland front line. Here's Nance, rejected by Grant, and they'll jump it up. Another block for the Bulls. That's the third for Horace Grant.
Well, at halftime, they were shooting under 38%, and they have it on their mind that when they make a move, the quickness of the Bulls will have an effect on their shots. Block again by Chicago.
And the Bulls control the tip. Jordan slicing through and draws the foul.
There have been very few fast breaks for Chicago in the series where we see the one-man, meaning the point guard, the two-man, the shooting guard, Jordan, and the small forward, Scottie Pippen, out in front with numbers against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland has done a good job of jamming rebounders, stopping the quick outlet pass, and then getting back. That time, the Bulls got 1, 2, and 3. Point guard, two-man, and small forward out on the break.
Well, the Bulls may be having difficulty at the line, but Michael Jordan has hit 9 of 9. Bulls pulling away here in the fourth, and they lead it 85-71. Cleveland yet to score in the fourth quarter. Bulls with a 12-0 edge in the fourth. And Williams is fouled. The Cavaliers 0 for the fourth quarter. They're 0 for 7 from the field.
Here's the problem right now for Cleveland. Lenny Wilkins has to make a decision. If he tries to go inside, they've had problems. Block shots, changes of shots, and big guys not having their inside game together this evening. Doherty with the bad hand. When he goes outside, Price is struggling now with the bad ankle, can't escape, and Elo being guarded by Jordan. Another turnover. And 2.
What a play by Jordan. Pippen has 14. Grant with a steal. Chicago has outscored Cleveland 14-0 in this fourth quarter.
They're trying to get the ball over to Scott Williams, who was being guarded by Price. Now Elo runs over to help out.
And the foul on Hot Rod Williams.
They cannot fall asleep against the Chicago Bull defense. An example of the aggressiveness was the steal by Grant, and now the 6th foul on Hot Rod. He's out of the game, such a big factor in game number 4. Hot Rod tonight with just 6 points, although he did have 11 rebounds.
And Lenny Wilkins sending on Brad Doherty. Brad Doherty, who injured his finger earlier in the game with only a 1 for 10 for 4 points. Michael Jordan back to the line. He is 10 of 10 from the foul line. 35 for Jordan. The Cavaliers with the last score in the 3rd quarter. That's the 3-point play by Danny Ferry with the drive and then the free throw. Since then, Chicago has reeled off 15 unanswered. Price with the 3-on-2 stopped by Pippen. No backcourt violation because it was knocked to the backcourt by Pippen, but a foul has been called.
Mark Price re-injured that ankle again in the scuffle for the ball on the floor. Pippen may have landed on Price's injured ankle.
Foul was committed by Grant. We have gone almost half the 4th quarter, and the Cavaliers yet to score.
The quick hands, and then right there, Price loses control, and now in the scramble for the ball, there he goes down, turns it again over Pippen.
Brad Doherty, 2 of 2 from the line, and that is Cleveland's first point of this 4th quarter. Chicago with 15 consecutive. And Price goes back to the bench. Brandon returning. Scott Williams has come up with a 7th rebound. He has 8 points, 2 blocked shots. Tremendous all-around effort by Williams.
You know, when Phil Jackson was talking about Pippen in the papers today, he mentioned Pippen playing well doesn't mean he has to have 25 points. I take that triple-double line right now, 14 points, 13 rebounds for Scottie Pippen.
Michael Jordan has 37. The Bulls 90. And the Cavaliers 72 with 5:40 remaining in the 4th.
In fact, Phil's numbers may have been exactly 14, 14, and 10. He said, I'd be very happy with that kind of game.
Chicago has outscored Cleveland 17-1 in the 4th quarter. Foul committed by Williams, his 3rd. Brandon shaken up.
42, Scott Williams, his 3rd.
Jordan feels it, knows he can get in the seam off Elo almost any time he wants. It's just a matter of whether or not there's going to be help coming over, and then Jordan with the basket.
All right, Jay, 5:28 remaining in the 4th quarter here in Chicago. The Bulls 90 and the Cavaliers 72. Now, this is certainly a significant part of the story tonight. Brad Doherty and John Hot Rod Williams have been silenced.
The Chicago Bulls front line has been aggressive this evening. They came out and defended well from the beginning of the game, and you have a couple guys there on the bench, Hot Rod Williams on the right and Brad Doherty with the bad hand on the left, who have really struggled this evening.
The astounding stat thus far in this 4th quarter, Chicago has outscored Cleveland 17-2. Make it 3 off a 15-0 run. The fewest points in the 4th quarter for an NBA playoff game, 9 scored by the Boston Celtics against Milwaukee back in April of '83. Grant Pippen. So the Bulls flying down the court and lead 92-74.
And in the timeout, they obviously talked about attacking if Cleveland should go to the press. The result, a quick 2.
We're approaching 5 minutes remaining in the 4th. The Bulls seeking to take a 3-2 lead on the Cavaliers. Jordan gives it right back. Here's Armstrong. Good play by Brandon. Got a piece of it. Sanders lost it. Pippen for Jordan. He blew the layup, but it's put back. Scott Williams, 5 of 5 from the field for 10 points, along with the 7 rebounds. Cavaliers have not been able to convert a field goal, as you see, in close to 7.5 minutes. And counting. Jordan with the recovery, getting it back to Armstrong.
Too far underneath the backboard to try any type of shot, so he just kicks it back out. Michael Jordan starts over.
Cavaliers 0 for 9 in this fourth. Scott Williams continuing his night of perfection. 6 of 6, 12 points, 7 rebounds. It's a 23-3 advantage here in the fourth for the Bulls.
More rebounds, numbers on the break for Chicago.
Look out, Armstrong. Yes, it counts. A foul committed by Brandon.
The problem with shooting a lot of jump shots, if you don't have your main big guys in there to crash the offensive boards, that Chicago is going to get out on the break. The finish by BJ. He likes it.
Standing ovation for Michael Jordan. Still bothered by congestion. Slight sore throat, as he put it. But 37 points for Jordan. Scottie Pippen with 14. And Scottie Pippen also did it off the boards. 13 rebounds for Pippen. Bobby Hansen has checked in for the first time. B.J. Armstrong completing the three-point play.
This will allow Bobby Hansen to tell his grandchildren someday that he shared playing time with Michael Jordan in the backcourt.
Bobby Hansen, a 9-year man out of Iowa. Here's Nance. And that for the Cavaliers, their first field goal of this fourth quarter, with 3.5 minutes to go in the quarter. They're 1 for 11. Bulls trying to set up Hansen. Armstrong with a 3. Bobby Hansen played 7 years with Utah, was a starter for a good portion of that time, then a year with Sacramento, on to Chicago. It has been a brutal fourth quarter for the Cavaliers. Livingston, the facial, and the foul.
Well, once again this evening, a few factors hold up. The team that scores and wins the first quarter scoring battle goes on to win the basketball game. And then the next thing is the team with momentum. It means nothing coming into this game between these two teams.
And Larry Nance has fouled out. Cavaliers have been in foul trouble. Hot Rod Williams fouled out earlier. Steve Kerr checking in now. Lenny Wilkins empties the bench. Bobby Phills, the rookie out of Southern University, has come on. The Bulls, incredibly, have outscored the Cavaliers 31 to 5 here in the fourth quarter.
And getting back one of those missed free throws for the Chicago Bulls, able to run more time off the clock now.
It is a wipeout for Chicago, and the onslaught continues. Livingston has 8 points, 106-76. And this was a close ball game right through 3 quarters. Ferry hits the 3, and that is greeted by the crowd. The Bulls 106, the Cavaliers 79. Cleveland only their second field goal of this fourth quarter. Stacey King has come on for the first time up front, along with Livingston, who's spinning and hitting. Scott Williams up front with Cliff Livingston, Stacey King.
2 minutes to play in the ball.
And we're under 2 minutes remaining in the fourth. Henry James with the ball. He just came on. He stripped by Armstrong, but he knocked it out of bounds. Henry James, a second-year player from St. Mary's in Texas. His game is outside shooting. And Will Perdue now checks in for the first time tonight. The hand for Scott Williams. A brilliant performance by the second-year player from North Carolina. Scott Williams, 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocked shots. Let's see. That will not count.
But when things are going well and you feel it, just throw it up there and anything could happen.
Kerr called for the foul. Scott Williams played well during the course of the playoffs last season and has come up strong in this series. Game 3, 10 points. The 12 today, a playoff career high. Armstrong chipping in with 11. So the scene will shift back to Cleveland Friday night. And we will bring it to you in prime time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, Game 6 between the Bulls and the Cavaliers. And as we mentioned earlier, it is impossible to get any kind of indication as to what might happen the following game. There has been no such factor as form in this series. It has been a very strange series. Stacey King with a unorthodox dribble move. And it will be Cleveland ball. Tomorrow night, Portland and Utah resume at Salt Lake City, Game 6. And then Friday night, it will be the Bulls and the Cavaliers in Richfield. 9 o'clock Eastern time starts. Both nights. Kerr with the bucket. And the foul. Called on Hodges. So the Cavaliers have been outscored here in the fourth quarter, 37-10. They have been blown out by the defending NBA champion Chicago Bulls.
Chicago last year, when they were making all those statements defensively, would be able to shut teams out and just, as happened this evening to Cleveland, make those great runs to end games suddenly. As Phil Jackson said earlier, this team won by an average of more than 10 points per game. The fans may have gotten a little too comfortable.
Stacey King with a flagrant no question about the intent. And Steve Kerr with some words for King. Look out. Ferry wants to get a piece of it. The Bulls off the bench. The Cavaliers also involved. A little payback from Stacey King. No question about the intent. With King clobbering Ferry.
Well, that goes back to the last game when Danny Ferry took the shot at Michael Jordan in that situation at the end of the game. King, just a little retaliation payback, as you mentioned. And now a little dip into the pocketbook for Stacey King. Certainly will be fined by the NBA office.
That's a flagrant. That also means ejection for Stacey King. Very safe time of the game to do it with 1:02 remaining.
There's an A and a B to that flagrant foul rule. The A, the 2 free throws, the ball out of bounds, not necessarily an ejection. This one, where the official feels there's intent to harm or unnecessary roughness taking place. The ejection, 2 free throws and the ball back out of bounds again.
Stacey King, ejection.
Stacey King, in his 3rd year out of the University of Oklahoma, being led by the security force here at Chicago Stadium, back to the Bulls locker room. And here's the applause from the crowd. So the flagrant foul is called, and Danny Ferry, appropriately enough, will go to the line to shoot the technical.
Ferry with the breakaway, Fast break opportunity. King taking him down right there, and that a retaliation for Game 4 when Ferry threw the punch at Michael Jordan.
And John Battle able to hit. So the Bulls now lead 110 to 86 with just under 1 minute remaining in the game. Livingston rebounded by James. Ferry fighting Phils, and the foul called on Livingston.
Now here's the play in Game 4 that started this whole thing. Baseline screen taking place. Michael Jordan doesn't like it, so holds up Ferry. Ferry doesn't like it, throws a couple punches at Michael. Michael has the arm cocked, ready to go. Elo jumps in. Michael keeps his head, doesn't get thrown out of the game. No suspension, no fine. Ferry fined, and now the retaliation here in this game by King.
So much for the cream puff marshmallow label to this series. Things did get a bit on the rugged side Monday afternoon in Cleveland. The Bulls 110 and the Cavaliers 87. A 37-16 advantage for Chicago in this fourth quarter. Bulls bench accounting for 26 of those points here in the fourth. Hansen unable to hit. Down to 20 seconds. Ferry fires to Battle. And a reach-in is called on James. The Chicago Bulls will take a 3-2 lead in this best of 7. And Lenny Wilkins has to be concerned with the hand of Brad Daugherty and the ankle of Mark Price as he looks to Game 6 back home.
And perhaps beyond that, he has to deal now with the psyche of this team. Do they honestly believe they can go back now after this outstanding performance by the Chicago Bulls? The Chicago Bulls of last year's playoffs is the one that we saw this evening.
They have a 39-16 edge here in the fourth. Kerr. So Steve Kerr with his second field goal as time runs down. 5 seconds remaining. Hansen from Purdue. And that will wrap it. The Chicago Bulls have defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers in game number 5 by the score of 112 to 89. The Bulls led by Michael Jordan. 37 points for Jordan. The Bulls wiping out the Cavs in the fourth quarter to the tune of a 39-18 edge, and they win it going away. We'll be right back.